Hello and welcome to Fast Thinking. My name is Nitya Biyani and I'm a program assistant with the GeoEconomics Center here at the Atlantic Council. All the hype around Coinbase IPO, Beeple's $69 million non-fungible token sale. There's a lot going on in the crypto world, so it was easy to miss India's proposed ban on the exchange of private digital currencies. Early in February, a senior government official told Reuters that the Indian government was planning to ban cryptocurrencies and penalize digital currency miners and traders. If the bill were to become law, India would be the first major economy to enact an outright ban on the possession of crypto. The proposal is in line with India's plans to develop its own competing central bank digital currency, or CBDC, and these moves raise questions about how the Indian government will contend with the growing demand for cryptocurrencies. So, what would India's motivations be for instituting the ban, and what lessons can be drawn as crypto comes into conflict with regulated alternatives? Joining me today is Nikhil Raghuveera, non-resident fellow with the GeoTech Center at the Atlantic Council.
Thanks, Nitya. Nice to be here.
So, Nikhil, what are some of the reasons for this proposed ban on cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, this is a good question. We've seen a lot of activity happen over the last few months, and this really builds on what we've also seen kind of happen in 2018. We can come back to what happened in 2018 as well. But really, the reasons for India looking to have a crypto ban are a few different factors. One is the factor of controlling illicit finance, essentially limiting that, and that was partially also the reason why India had previously demonetized the currency as well. Another reason is that India is looking to potentially launch a central bank digital currency. And I think the purpose of banning cryptocurrencies is basically making sure that there are no other avenues for financial transactions beyond the core Indian fiat currency and what would then be a central bank digital currency. Another very key reason is that I think there is just a lot of skepticism around what the role of cryptocurrency plays. And I think there is kind of concern that this is a highly speculative asset. And so because of that, it should be something that's controlled, highly regulated, or if anything, banned, because you don't believe that the underlying core activity for what cryptocurrency provides is actually of value to the Indian economy. And the reason for that, too, is India has a relatively strong digital payments infrastructure. And so then the question is why have cryptocurrency if you have other forms of payments? And so I think those are the three reasons. And then a crypto ban essentially gives you the regulatory teeth to kind of enforce all of these different things. Go after people who are using cryptocurrency and essentially stop any businesses that are using it. So that would be the main reasons for why India would probably be looking to ban a cryptocurrency.
Right, interesting. I mean, it's even unclear whether this ban will happen at all, right? The news came from an anonymous senior government official, but there hasn't been any moves made. If anything, the finance minister has gone out of her way to calm the fears about this proposed ban. But the fear is still there because, as you mentioned, there is a history of such drastic moves taken by the government, just from 2016, demonetization, taking out 85% of legal tenor from the economy overnight. And then even in 2018, when the central bank banned all cryptos and barred banks and other institutions from facilitating any services related to digital currencies. I mean, that was overturned in 2020 by the Supreme Court. But there has been a lack of trust between the government and Indian citizens. And that also you can see that the market is a bit skeptical whether this ban is going to happen at all either. Signups for India's largest cryptocurrency exchange, WazirX, has been higher in the first 6 days of this month than like the entire first 6 months of 2020. And so given that there hasn't been any indication besides this rumor from the government about doing anything, it seems like the fear and uncertainty has been eradicated a little bit. But what do you think would be the potential implications of a crypto ban if India were to institute one?
Yeah, so first, I think it's right now, there's, to your point of regulatory concern, or kind of this question of whether there will be a ban or not, I think that's spot on. We are unsure. That being said, I was kind of earlier last week, then the question kind of came up again, and now it's kind of assumed, or now it's believed that some type of regulatory action or some type of policy will be put in place in the summer season of Congress. And so that's kind of what we're looking at now as the latest, but we're really not sure yet what exactly that might entail and what the policy might be. And the implications are pretty widespread, right? It really depends on what the Indian government ends up doing. So this could be anywhere from just something that is primarily meant for exchanges, where it basically sets some type of compliance and control in terms of how much volatility is allowed for a cryptocurrency. So you can basically kind of maintain that and say that, oh, if the volatility gets too high, we're blocking it for that period of time. You've seen that it's basically a circuit breaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that for kind of a traditional stock exchange. So that's on the lighter end of kind of a regulatory response and what the implication might be. But a broader and more comprehensive thing that would completely change the landscape and possible innovation in India would be banning cryptocurrency and saying we are not allowing for the ownership or development of anything related to cryptocurrency. And what that essentially means is you're basically blocking anything that's related to a permissionless blockchain. Because for a permissionless blockchain to operate, you have to have a cryptocurrency. And this is very deliberate then, because then what you're doing as an Indian government is saying the only thing you can have is possibly a permissioned blockchain, which is distinct, right? A permissioned blockchain means that not everyone can be a validator or a node on a blockchain. Instead, it's going to be kind of permission that certain individuals are essentially the ones who validate transactions and validate that data. And that would essentially be setting it up for kind of the Indian government itself to be a member of that permission blockchain and allowing for a system like that. And so the implications basically then are that India would largely miss what might be the next biggest wave of financial technology that the world has seen, because you've banned what is possibly the innovation that's there. And this is particularly a problem because in India, I mean, you have a very strong you have a very strong education system. You have a number of engineers. And so there's actually, India is a great place to actually think about innovation of crypto in the country. But if you ban it, that you completely block that. And then of course, that means that any other possibilities for decentralized finance, that becomes a challenge. On top of the fact that lastly, if India does launch a central bank digital currency, the idea would be that your CBDC should be able to intersect and integrate with all these new payment ecosystems and the multiple other innovation that's happening through cryptocurrency. And you won't be able to have that if you ban cryptocurrency.
Yeah, and just to build on that, there's plenty of geopolitical implications as well. I mean, just yesterday, China reversed its very anti-Bitcoin and cryptocurrency stance, indicating that it's a stable investment and a good investment alternative. And given that China, this is a huge shift from 4 years ago with the large crackdown on cryptocurrency trading and mining in China, and also indicates that there could be regulatory changes within China with regards to these issues. One of the primary objectives geopolitically for the Indian government is to curtail China's growing influence in the region, but also globally. And comparing to where China is, India's outright crypto ban would put it at a significant disadvantage. China is gearing up to launch and test its digital currency for cross-border payments for the first time at the 2020 Winter Beijing Olympics. And it can be drawn that Bitcoin and their changing stance on that is going to play a role, and they're making their systems more robust. So this ban would put India at a severe disadvantage if it wants to compete with China with its CBDC, but also just more generally in the region.
Yeah, that's spot on. And I think the other thing we've seen too, right, Nitya, is that Turkey recently just banned cryptocurrency in some aspects of basically they banned the use of cryptocurrency as a form of payment. And so the real question here too, right, is India would be probably the largest country that has banned cryptocurrency and the largest democracy too, for that matter. And so the other thing here is that you have the geopolitical lens of how does that put India's position relative to China and then also relative to the United States, because I think what we might see is kind of essentially a tug of war between China and the United States when it comes to thinking about a new payment system. And then on top of that is then, does a ban of crypto from India then result in other countries also banning crypto? And we've seen some countries do that, but will we see larger countries do that? And that will also very much change the way we think about cryptocurrency. The challenge here too, right, is that banning cryptocurrency isn't the same thing as banning other technology, because cryptocurrency, the purpose of why it was developed was that it should actually be kind of limited from government surveillance. And if you're banning it, the real question is, how do you actually truly ban it? So you can make it so that it's difficult for people to on ramp and on off ramp, which is exchange your fiat currency into crypto, right? So you can make it difficult for that, but it will be very difficult to actually stop transactions themselves between people. And so the question is what is the type of government surveillance mechanism that comes in place if a country were to ban crypto and really try to enforce that ban?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I think, well, India, we just have to wait and see what India really does. But India would be really hurting its own ambitions by instituting the sort of outright ban that we just discussed.
Yeah, that's right. And the former CTO of Coinbase, Balaji Srinivasan, actually wrote an excellent piece on kind of what is the opportunity for crypto in terms of India's larger digital infrastructure. Worth a read for those listening. I think that is something that is very well laid out in terms of what is the opportunities, as well as both from an Indian domestic economy, as well as broadly international and geopolitical.
Well, thanks for joining me today. This was a fascinating conversation.
Thanks, Nitya. Great to be here.